Good evening. You're watching the breaking news show right here on CNN News 18. My name is Toya Singh. We continue to track the situation right now in the Middle East. We have breaking news coming in regarding these developments. Let's go to it very quickly. As we learn that Israel is continuing to move in its troops towards Gaza on the ground, we are receiving the news that top government sources within India are saying that they fully support and stand by Israel. They're also saying, and this is top Indian government sources, they're saying that this is a terror attack, and this is something that has been clarified by the language used by the Prime Minister. They've said India will be all out in support of Israel. No strength reduction in Indian missions or consulates. Remember, there's a population of about 18,000 Indians that lives in Israel and works in various capacities. India has also said we're watching the developments and we will speak to our counterparts on this situation. Remember, since Saturday, 36 hours ago, 7 a.m. is when we first broke the news that missiles had been fired from the Gaza Strip into southern Israel. Now, since then, we've brought you multiple updates of what's taken place. Hamas claimed responsibility very soon after. Videos have been going viral showing Hamas terrorists entering Israel in various manners. So you have them entering Israel through sea, through land, and through air. But remember, the Gaza Strip is 2.5 million people. What is their fate, especially as videos right now go viral showing that Israel troops are moving closer and closer to the Gaza Strip. They are deployed there in large numbers, typically too, to secure it. But right now we're learning that they are possibly going to move into the Gaza Strip. This is after overnight shelling and missiles were both fired into the Gaza Strip. The destruction has been wide scale. Remember, what makes this particularly tricky is that the Hamas is known to use civilian residences, civilian areas sometimes to fire the missiles, which makes it more complicated. However, what does this mean for the civilians that are in that 2.5 million population that you have living in the Gaza Strip? That obviously remains the big question. We'll continue to bring you reports from the ground. But remember, we've brought you updates since early this morning today, since yesterday itself, when the missiles were first fired from the Gaza Strip into southern Israel. Remember, at the same time as this is taking place, we're also learning that the Hezbollah, which is a different outfit in Lebanon, has also expressed their solidarity with Hamas. Now, my colleague Siddhant is with us to bring us more context on these developments. Siddhant, this second statement coming in from top government sources, very much in line with the messaging that the Prime Minister had already put out. Can you bring us more context?
Well, absolutely. And look, India and Israel have a very strong bilateral relations, and perhaps it started way back in 1994, and both the nations have come a long way. Now, look, India's top priority, or perhaps the focus area of Prime Minister, is terrorism. In fact, India did organize conference on terrorism last year. And in fact, whenever there is any bilateral meet or a multilateral event, India did speak about rise of Islamist terrorism. Now, what has happened in Israel, Indian intelligence is doing assessment of that, and perhaps India is standing in solidarity with people of Israel, and also with the actions or the counter-offensive that Israel has launched. Now, Prime Minister Modi has come out with a strong statement. Point number one. Now, most of these countries have made their foreign ministers to speak or foreign secretaries to issue this statement. But India's Prime Minister has posted on X and has taken a position that says a lot about India and Israel's relationship. Now, Prime Minister's statements can also be interpreted in two ways. One is that the Prime Minister that they condemn it in the strongest word, and the second, there is also a positioning that why, many are in fact saying that why India has not said that it is Israel. Israel deserves the right to respond. The reason is because Prime Minister Modi has given message of peace to the world by saying that this is not an era of war. But then again, there was nothing of this sort mentioned in his statement, saying that Israel should not go for a counter-offensive. So, a very well drafted, well articulate statement which was released by Prime Minister yesterday, and perhaps even the Israelis understand it very well that how much India, how much love they get from India. I mean, look at Indian social media space, and the kind of the way the messaging has been made by from the government of India. Even today, when the Israeli ambassador addressed the press conference, he also expressed, he also expressed and perhaps thank Indian and Indian government for
Okay.
standing in
Siddharth,
solidarity
can I
with
ask
Israel.
you, can I just ask you, because you have explained the Prime Minister's statement and also what top government sources have just told us. And as you were saying, the Prime Minister's statement is very much like statements we've seen coming in from the head of the EU, from various leaders of Europe. I just want to understand from you, though, India is also one of the first countries to have recognized the state of Palestine. Now, it's important to not conflate for our audiences Hamas and Palestine. Hamas is obviously an extremist organization, but can we expect in any way any kind of statements coming forward in solidarity with the people of Palestine in this hour, or is that messaging we'll be staying away from?
No, India has completely stayed away from that messaging, and thank you for asking this question. India's position is very clear. There has only been one statement, and that has come from the Prime Minister of the country, the top executive boss of the country. And the statement says it all. There has not been a single mention of Palestine or Hamas in his statement. That's why I'm saying it's well articulate and balanced, and perhaps a statement which sends out message to Israel as well. And also, Prime Minister never mentioned Israel or Hamas or not, no other statement, or perhaps we should also not expect any other statement coming from India for Palestine or I mean, what is happening there, or against any of the counter-offensive measures being taken by Israel. So India's position is very clear, and Prime Minister, has made a statement, a message which is very articulate. And reading that message, one can easily understand what is India's position. And at the government level also, India is ready to cooperate with the government of Israel, whatever they require, whatever they need in these in these difficult times. And I'm sure at the government level, both the governments must be consulting and speaking to each other as per the requirements are concerned.